A radiant swirl of golden energy fills the screen, wrapping around a red-haired boy who stands at its center, calm, confident, almost heroic. But the brilliance fades, giving way to the massive awakening plaza, where countless students gather for the day that will define their futures. Among them stands Lin Han, a seemingly ordinary boy who has waited a decade for this moment. Finally, today's the day, he whispers, trying to steady his breath. The stadium hums with excitement. Voices mingle, hope, fear, ambition, echoing through the air like a rising tide. This world is ruled by job awakenings where fate manifests in ranks and classes. Some awaken incredible abilities, earning wealth and status. Others aren't so lucky. A cheer erupts as a student awakens an S+ rank class, basking in admiration. Moments later, another receives a pitiful rank F ability, and the crowd's mood plunges. Awakening day is brutal, unforgiving, and mercilessly honest. Lin Han watches silently. For me, this awakening isn't about glory, it's about freedom. A chance to escape the weight I've carried. He closes his eyes, and for a moment reality bends. A colossal sword appears before him, forged from hatred and ancient power, filled with the wailing spirits of the damned. Words glimmer across its surface, job, evil god. Light engulfs him, until a hand suddenly taps his shoulder. Lin Han, it's your turn. He snaps back to reality, realizing he drifted into imagination again. Embarrassed, he rushes to the awakening altar. The instructor scolds him, but Lin Han steps into the glowing circle anyway. Energy swirls around him, lifting him off the ground. Runes flare beneath his feet. The crowd murmurs, something unusual is happening. Light explodes upward. A hidden class, someone whispers. Students shield their eyes as the glow fades and a blue panel appears. Job, cleric, support healer. The plaza falls silent. Lin Han's face drains of color. A cleric? Disappointment ripples through the crowd. Too bad, someone mutters. Clerics can't level alone. The instructor sighs, explaining the harsh truth. Clerics rely on strong teams, but strong teams rarely accept weak beginners. Still, Lin Han forces a smile. It's okay. I'll figure it out. As he walks off stage, a soft chime rings. You have new messages. Confused, he opens the system window. Congratulations. Your hidden divine abilities have awakened. Abilities unrestrained. Please check details. Lin Han's heart leaps. A system? Finally, a cheat. He scrolls through his stats, strength, agility, intelligence, all average, until his eyes freeze on one line. Divinity, 1000. The description warns, misusing divine abilities may cause catastrophic consequences. Still, hope ignites in his chest. Maybe he isn't doomed after all. His friend rushes to him. Bro, what are you doing? You forgot your bag. Before Lin Han can explain, a group approaches. At the front stands a tall, purple-haired bully with a smug grin. Well. The bottom feeder awakened a cleric. Figures. Someone like you is useless anywhere. Lin Han's friend snaps, but Lin Han steps forward quietly. Move. You're in my way. The crowd gasps. The bully's expression twists. What did you say? You heard me, Lin Han replies. I don't have time for trash. With a roar, the bully swings, but Lin Han moves first. Wham. His counterpunch sends the bully flying across the plaza, crashing into the ground with a thunderous boom. Dust erupts around him. Students stare in shock as the bully struggles, teeth clenched, unable to comprehend the blow. Lin Han walks toward him, calm and steady. What was it you said? He asks softly. You can single-handedly beat me up? The screen fades on Lin Han's determined expression, an unexpected spark of strength shining in his eyes. The plaza trembles with dust as the purple-haired bully slams into the ground, skidding across the stone tiles until he comes to a stunned, motionless halt. Gasps ripple through the crowd, students retreating in disbelief. A few rush forward, unsure whether to help or simply stare at the devastation before them. What? Are you okay? Someone cries, but the bully can barely lift his head. In the center of the chaos stands Lin Han, calm, collected, and almost indifferent. His hair drifts gently with the settling dust, and his shadow stretches over the fallen boy. He takes a slow step forward, his voice low and steady. What was it you said just now? His expression sharpens. You can single-handedly beat me up? The bully trembles, his earlier arrogance collapsing under the weight of reality. He stutters, scrambling backward. Don't get full of yourself. When I reach the 10th level, or even the second cycle, in a few days you'll still be useless. But even he knows those words have lost their bite. His voice cracks and panic forces him back to his feet. I'll make you regret ever being born, he screams, before he can lunge again. Crack. A sickening sound echoes as he twists wrong, collapsing to his knees with a howl of pain. The crowd flinches. Some whisper. Somewhere, a girl lets out a startled Kaya. Humiliated and shaking, the bully forces himself upright, swallowing what little pride he has left. Hey, at any rate, just you wait, he snaps, grabbing one of his lackeys before stumbling away. Let's go. As he retreats, Lin Han's friend sighs in relief, walking beside him. You know, Lin Han, I have a feeling you're going to become someone amazing. His eyes sparkle with optimism. Lin Han laughs lightly. Dude, aren't you exaggerating? Go home already. It's getting late. His friend insists. I'm serious though. But once Lin Han is alone again, his steps slow. Seriously, when are they going to fix this street? He hops over shattered stones and uneven pavement. So annoying. Twilight settles over the neighborhood as he reaches home. He stares at the door, nerves stirring in his chest. How am I supposed to tell my parents I awakened as a cleric? They're going to be so disappointed. He exhales deeply and turns the handle. Click. Warm light spills into the hallway. The smell of a home-cooked feast floats through the air. His mother looks up from the kitchen, smiling. I'm home. Lin Han calls nervously. Something smells great. Is Dad making a feast today? You're back, Lin Han, his mother replies. Since today was the job change, your dad left a bit early to celebrate with you. Wash your hands before you eat. Dinner is lively, the table full of steaming dishes and clinking glasses. Moonlight drifts through the open window as Lin Han fidgets in his seat. About my awakening? His father waves a hand. Your homeroom teacher already told us. Lin Han stiffens. Sorry. But his father only laughs, setting down his drink. It's not the warrior job you always dreamed of, but it's not the end of the world. Excellence isn't limited to just one field. His mother nods. He's right. Cheer up, son, and work hard. A toast to the future. They raise their glasses. Lin Han breathes out, relieved. Don't worry. I'm not giving up. Later he helps clean the table. Mom, do you need help? I'm fine, she replies gently. Go ahead and relax. As he turns to leave, she calls out to him again. Son, here you go. She struggles with a heavy black case and sets it in his hands. Lin Han blinks. What's this? It's a present from your mom and dad, she says proudly. His father steps in with a smile. Oh, he gave it to you already? It's a treasure that's been passed down in our family for generations. We're poor now, she adds, but once our family was quite prestigious. Lin Han laughs. Is that so? He's so heavy, Mom, give me a hand. You little brat, she scolds playfully. Go open it. Lin Han unlatches the case. A golden glow bursts out as an exquisite staff floats above it, shining like a relic from legend. This thing, his mother says warmly, is perfect for your job. Use it well when you go training tomorrow. That night, Lin Han sits in his room, examining the staff and the armor his parents prepared. The system hums to life as he raises both items. System, augment these 2 pieces of equipment, please. A soft chime rings. Augmentation complete. Both items have been enhanced 10,000 times. Glowing panels appear before him, listing absurdly powerful stats. His staff crackles with magical force, robes shimmering with defensive enchantments. Lin Han's eyes widen. I've lucked out big time. He slips on his new gear. Radiance bursts from the fabric as his strength surges. Mages have always been good at close combat, he announces with a grin. From now on, I'll be known as the close combat healer. Later, as he lies in bed, he reads the system's next requirement. To break through to the next cycle after reaching level 10, host must absorb primordial elements. And to do that, host must enter a catastrophe. Lin Han frowns. A catastrophe, ha? He scrolls through his phone. Images of raging storms, monstrous creatures, and shattered landscapes fill the screen. Catastrophes are deadly zones, places even advanced adventurers fear. Messages from friends flood in. Sorry bro, the kingdom of Heizei is too dangerous for your level. Don't go alone. Please be careful. Lin Han sighs. It's already this late? I should sleep. Hoping everything goes well tomorrow? Morning arrives. Wind rushes past as towering gates rise before him. Transfer square. He presses his card against the scanner. To the kingdom of Heizei. Identity confirmed. Access granted. A portal surges open. Bon voyage, the attendant says. Light engulfs him as he steps through, and emerges into a dense, eerie forest. Mist coils around ancient trees. The ground feels damp, the air heavy with danger. A plaque stands crookedly in the dirt. A plaque. Lin Han mutters. Something's written on it. He reads aloud. Beware when hunting or tears will be spilled. Warnings etched by those who failed before him. He smiles uneasily. Looks like this place is going to be full of dangers from the get-go. A massive shadow looms behind him. Lin Han freezes. A guttural roar shakes the forest. Grerharg. A monstrous beast lunges from the darkness, its jaws wide, eyes blazing red. Lin Han turns slowly, staff in hand. What? The roar crescendos. And the screen snap cuts as the tension peaks. World. Countless crystalline spears drift overhead, their glow reflecting across the cavern as if the stars themselves had descended. At the center of this shimmering storm stands a lone dark figure, a shadow swallowed by the brilliance of gathering magic. Each floating shard hums with tension, the light swelling until the entire chamber feels ready to shatter. Then the silence breaks. The crystals drop in a sudden violent cascade, rushing downward like frozen meteors. Their descent tears the air with sharp, echoing swooshes, streaking through the golden light as if splitting the heavens apart. The ground trembles beneath the storm, each shard trailing frost and force as it plummets. But before disaster can strike, the barrage slams into a radiant golden shield. Explosions ripple across its surface, bam bam, but the barrier refuses to yield. Within it stands a red-haired mage, gripping his staff tightly, robes swirling around him. His breath is steady, though his eyes reveal how close the attack came. This shield appeared just in time, he mutters, relief softening his expression. As expected from a legendary item. Yet the darkness beyond the ice stirs. 2 crimson eyes flicker open, filled with malice. A massive beast bursts from the shadows, spiraling forward with terrifying speed. The vortex of energy around it crashes into the shield with a force that nearly crushes the air. Though the barrier holds, the mage staggers, clutching his head in sudden pain. Ugh, my head, it's gonna explode. A calm voice whispers within him. Host, the shield blocks physical and magical attacks. But psychic force is beyond its reach. He straightens, wiping the pain from his expression. Who do you think you're talking down to? He plants his staff in the earth, lifting his gaze toward the sky. Energy gathers around him, slowly at first, then swirling faster as glowing runes ignite. The air distorts, winds spiral, and his robes flare as power rises like a forming storm. He chants softly at first, then louder, each word rippling through the world. Disturbed dust, lost travelers, the shouts of gods, the calls of the stars, the thoughts of evil, the rebirth of order. The sky darkens. The earth trembles. Great God of chaos, I am your most pious follower. His voice becomes a roar. Forbidden spell, chaos domain. Was. A cataclysm erupts across the mountains. Flames twist with lightning, tearing the landscape apart in a dome of destruction. The shockwave spreads for miles, turning earth to dust and sky to fire. Was. Far away, alarms echo through an underground command center. Officers rush across metal floors as screens flicker with rising energy signatures. Minister, magical waves across Huiwa City have soared. Could this be an enemy strike? No, sir. The city is surrounded by others. An attack would have triggered earlier alerts. Show me the monitoring screen. Was. A burst of red flashes across the display. The minister's eyes narrow. Check with your superiors. Has anyone awakened a forbidden spell user? Yes, sir. The order is immediate. Huiwa City enters defensive state. Track the source of the magic, now. Was. Above the city, the sea rises in monstrous spirals, swirling toward the clouds. Thunder splits the sky as the waves tower higher than buildings. Across the streets, sirens blare through loudspeakers. Attention all citizens. Huiwa City has entered level 1 alert. Evacuate immediately and head to the central shelter. Was. Crowds rush through the streets as the waves loom overhead, the sky twisting into deep turquoise spirals. A sudden burst of green light flashes across the horizon, illuminating the chaos. Was. Inside another facility, armored personnel coordinate their defenses. Is the shield functioning? The first wave is blocked. Evacuation has begun. The squad is assembled. Prepare to leave at any time. Was. Elsewhere, the mage calmly reviews a floating hologram, his collected rewards shimmering before him. All the rewards, perfect. He smiles. The EXP to reach level 10 was worth it. A prompt appears. Skill book acquired. Enhance times 10,000? He grins brightly. Of course I want to enhance it. Was. The screen displays a new skill, silent, lethal, efficient. This is amazing, a perfect way to deal with enemies quietly. His grin widens. Time to gather the fire and wind elements. Was. He follows the map's glowing path toward a raging volcano. Lava bursts from its core, lighting the sky with deep red fire. Ash drifts through the air like falling snow. The monsters once living there lie reduced to cinders. Looks like the eruption did the work for me. Was. Amid the firestorms, a glowing crystal hovers, the fire element. There it is. He selects yes on the prompt. Flames swirl into him, leaving him almost breathless. I got it that easily? Perfect. Now for the wind element. Was. Storm clouds churn above a vast ocean. Lightning spirals through colossal waves as the wind howls like a living beast. The mage flies into the heart of the storm, balancing on his staff as water lashes around him. According to the hints, it should be inside. Was. A blinding blast erupts deep within the vortex. He dives through, breaking into the center where a luminous green crystal spins in a maelstrom of wind. There it is. Was. He reaches forward as the screen fades to white. The sun rises over the kingdom of Hei's, casting warm light across mountains and quiet rivers. Morning mist drifts softly through the valleys, giving the land an untouched, peaceful glow. High above this calm world glides the red-haired mage, moving through the sky with effortless grace. Floating beside him are glowing reward panels, displaying 2 elemental sources, rare materials, and equipment he earned from his recent battle. He smiles faintly, thinking that selling everything could greatly improve life for himself and his family. With his tasks completed, he heads toward home, leaving a trail of shimmering energy behind him. As he approaches the teleportation hall, the air fills with urgent alarms. A booming announcement declares that the city is under a level 1 emergency and all teleportation is shut down immediately. Panic spreads through the hall as citizens rush around, demanding explanations. The mage lands amid the confusion, surprised by the chaos. A staff member hurries toward him, saying he was fortunate to enter before the shutdown and urging him to move quickly to the shelter. When the mage asks what caused the emergency, the man explains that a mysterious force is approaching the city, with reports suggesting it came from the direction of the kingdom of Hei's. A heavy realization settles over the mage as he remembers the forbidden spell he cast earlier. If the force came from Hei's, then he may have triggered it without understanding its full consequences. Determined to learn the truth, he steps away from the crowd, preparing to see the situation for himself. Meanwhile, Huiming City faces destruction. The Wall of Life, a massive green barrier along the coast, strains beneath spiraling columns of seawater. Each impact sends tremors through the shield, and soldiers rush into formation, struggling to maintain control. A commander shouts that the protective mechanism is weakening and they have minutes before the next devastating strike. With urgency, he orders all units to deploy reverse gravity magic to lift the waves before the barrier collapses. The soldiers activate glowing magic circles, sending arcs of energy upward in a coordinated effort to push back the sea. But the ocean's fury outweighs their strength. Cracks appear along the barrier as soldiers falter under the intense strain. Several shout that they cannot hold on, others fear the city may truly fall today. Despair spreads through the ranks as another colossal wave rises above them. Just when collapse seems certain, a warm golden radiance descends from the sky. Exhausted soldiers look up as healing light washes over them. Floating high above, the red-haired mage releases Blessing Song, restoring their strength and stabilizing the failing barrier. The cracks begin to seal and the soldiers regain the ability to push the waves back. The commander watches in astonishment as the shield brightens and the city regains precious moments of safety. With renewed strength, the commander orders the creation of a massive teleportation vortex to redirect the seawater. A A swirling portal forms, pulling in the towering waves as the sea level drops rapidly. Reports confirm a sharp decrease in water pressure. Within moments, the last violent surge vanishes into the vortex, and silence spreads across the shore. Soldiers stare at the calm horizon, barely believing they survived. Relief washes over them as they realize the city is safe. High above the ocean, the mage drifts through the air, unaware of how drastically he influenced the battle. He brushes off the event as a simple task, though the weight of earlier guilt lingers. He quietly admits that forbidden spells may carry consequences far beyond what he expects and resolves to be more careful. His device rings unexpectedly. He answers quickly, hearing his mother's anxious voice. He reassures her that he is safe, explaining that he had been in a shelter without signal. With the danger gone, he promises to return home soon. Walking along the quiet shoreline, he plans his next steps. Tomorrow he intends to finish his advancement quest, sell the valuable materials he collected, and improve life for his parents. Later, he enters the Grand Class Advancement Hall, its towering pillars glowing with sacred symbols. Approaching the counter, he requests his second advancement mission. The clerk hands him a form and reads his information once he returns it. She asks if he prefers a recommended quest or a random assignment. He chooses the random option casually. She instructs him to place his hand on a crystal sphere to generate his mission. Expecting something ordinary, she mutters that most applicants hope for low-level tasks. But the sphere suddenly shines with startling intensity, and she freezes at the result before announcing that he received an S-grade mission. The mage reacts with mild surprise while nearby students erupt in shocked whispers. The mission details appear: descend into the underground dungeon, defeat the Abyss Apostle and retrieve the Abyss Heart. The clerk panics, insisting that such a mission is far too dangerous for a healer, but he smiles calmly and accepts. As murmurs fill the hall, a bald warrior approaches, offering the mage a position on his team and promising success if they work together. The mage pauses thoughtfully, considering the offer as the scene fades, leaving the looming challenge of the S-grade quest ahead. The chapter opens with tension thick in the air, the kind that settles heavy on the skin before a storm strikes. The red-haired mage steps forward with composed confidence, showing no hint of unease despite being surrounded by a group of mercenaries whose smirking expressions reveal far more arrogance than actual strength. Their leader, a muscular man with a sharp grin, approaches him as though bestowing a privilege. He offers the mage a place in his team, claiming that joining him is the only way to survive an impossible S-grade mission. The tone in his voice drips with superiority, as if he's already convinced of his own importance. But the mage merely lifts a hand in a calm, dismissive gesture. His voice stays soft, unwavering, and sharp enough to cut through the leader's confidence. He tells him plainly that he has no interest in joining them, that he prefers working alone. The mercenaries freeze, startled that anyone would dare reject their leader so cleanly. Their disbelief turns swiftly into anger. The leader lunges forward, losing his composure in an instant, but the mage's body shifts slightly, stepping aside with effortless precision. The mercenary's strike misses entirely, leaving him off balance. In one swift and controlled motion, the mage retaliates, striking with just enough force to send the man crashing to the ground. Shock ripples through the watching crowd. The leader's subordinates rush to him, their voices trembling between concern and humiliation. They whisper among themselves, baffled that their boss could be knocked down by someone labeled as a support class. One of them mutters that they should eliminate the mage on the spot. The mage glances over his shoulder, gaze cold yet almost bored, reminding them that mercenary groups are forbidden from engaging in private conflict within city limits. His calm words dig deeper than anger ever could. Their boss gets back up slowly, rage simmering beneath a shaky exterior, and swears that if he cannot defeat the mage fairly, he will make him kneel through any dirty method he can find. The mage walks away without acknowledging the threat, making the humiliation burn even hotter. Morning light spills across the towering trading market, filling its vast halls with a warm glow as merchants, adventurers, and appraisers go about their busy work. The mage enters with steady footsteps and approaches the counter. He informs the clerk that he wishes to sell equipment. She guides him to a private appraisal room, asks him what he would like to sell, and freezes when he opens his storage. A mountain of gleaming equipment materializes across the table. Swords, armor, staffs, relics, enchanted pieces, all radiating with faint magical light. She stares in disbelief at the sheer quantity. Stammering, she excuses herself and rushes out to fetch her manager. Moments later, the door opens and a refined, well-dressed man enters with a confident smile. He introduces himself as Manager Liu, a level 36 appraisal master and branch chief. His confident greeting shifts into astonishment as he takes in the sight of the equipment piled before him. He meticulously evaluates the items, announcing that the total value would normally reach around 23 million. The mage listens calmly, then presents 2 additional pieces. Their quality is evident even at a glance, and Manager Liu's expression sharpens. He recites a quiet prayer to the god of appraisal, invoking the highest accuracy in his evaluation. As his hands glow, intricate symbols float across the items. When the light fades, he reveals that the 2 weapons are far beyond ordinary quality, possessing legendary potential. He immediately offers 70 million for the full batch. The mage agrees without hesitation. Manager Liu hands him a sleek black card, explaining that it grants elite privileges at every trading market branch. The mage accepts it, then requests to purchase skill books. The manager assures him that anything he desires will be prepared instantly. After reviewing several options, the mage completes his transaction and exits the hall. As he walks, he instructs his system to amplify one of his newly learned skills by a factor of 10,000. The panel flashes, revealing its upgraded form: Forbidden Curse, Red Heaven. A chilling aura pulses beneath the surface, promising devastating power. The mage smiles slightly, declaring that no danger will be able to approach him now. It is time he decides to begin his dungeon quests. The Dungeon Information Center welcomes him with gilded walls and bustling adventurers. A receptionist provides him with a folder containing detailed records of the Abyss Apostle. With the map committed to memory, he proceeds into the dungeon. The atmosphere shifts from lively halls to the muffled echoes of an underground labyrinth. Adventurers patrol the entrance non-stop, creating a strange contrast to the usual monster-infested quiet. The mage notes that this place used to overflow with enemies but now feels almost too crowded with people. A faint prickle of danger brushes against his senses. The hostility is weak, barely worth acknowledging. He decides to head directly toward the Apostle. He ventures deeper into the cavern, the air cooling and the light dimming with every step. At last he reaches a sullen chamber lined with jagged stone, the designated spawning point of the Abyss Apostle. Silence holds for a moment until the shadows contort violently. From the darkness emerges a towering beast, muscles bulging beneath its rough skin, claws scraping grooves into the stone floor, and eyes glowing with feral malice. Its roar shakes the cavern. The mage studies it with casual distaste and remarks that the creature is uglier than he expected. Without hesitation he summons lightning from the sky. A massive bolt crashes down, engulfing the chamber in a blinding purple explosion. When the dust settles he squints, mildly disappointed, wondering if the battle ended too quickly. But the Apostle bursts forward again, its monstrous silhouette ripping through the settling dust. The ground fractures beneath its weight as it charges with terrifying speed. The mage dodges, but the shockwave of the attack drains nearly 2,000 of his health. He acknowledges its surprising strength but remains calm. Suddenly, a mocking voice echoes through the cavern. From the shadows steps the mercenary leader he humiliated earlier, wearing a cruel smirk. The mage narrows his eyes, recognizing the insignia of the Three Snakes Mercenary Guild. The man taunts him, calling him arrogant and claiming that, before the Abyss Apostle, even someone as talented as him is nothing but prey. The mage scoffs, asking if the man truly wants to attack someone wealthy enough to cause serious trouble for any mercenary group. The Apostle roars again, shaking dust from the ceiling as the mercenary unsheathes his blade. He boasts that as a second-tier expert, defeating a teenage monster is simple, and that killing the mage here would leave no witnesses. His eyes gleam with murderous intent as he declares that this cavern will become the mage's grave. The chapter ends with the Apostle closing in, the mercenary preparing his strike, and the mage standing between two threats, yet still wearing the same calm, defiant expression that infuriates his enemies more than any spell ever could. The chaos begins the moment the red-haired mage steps forward, eyes sharpening as he whispers that the time has come. Forbidden curse, descent. A violent wave of pressure erupts outward, swallowing the mercenaries surrounding him. Their pupils glow red as madness consumes them. The word kill leaves their mouths in broken whispers, then turns into a terrifying chant. Their blades tremble as their minds twist into something monstrous. The bald leader's confidence collapses as he realizes his own men are now staring at him with murderous intent. He stumbles away, pleading desperately, offering money, begging them to regain their senses, but the frenzied killers ignore every sound and hurl themselves at him. The curse thickens like a dark fog. Loyalty, fear, reason, everything dissolves until only bloodlust remains. The leader cries out as one of his corrupted allies drags him down. In a frantic struggle to survive, he swings his blade wildly. Steel flashes, screams rip through the cavern and blood splatters across the walls. Two of his own men fall lifeless at his feet, still glowing with the red haze of insanity. Their fingers twitch against the cold floor as their last breaths fade. Horror freezes the leader as he realizes he killed them with his own hands. He stares at the mage, voice shaking, asking if he caused the madness, how someone labeled support could twist minds so completely. The mage walks toward him, the glow of forbidden power flickering like embers around him. He calls the man a fool, explaining calmly that the mercenaries are now under his control, bound by his spell. The leader trembles in denial, insisting it's impossible for someone with such a low level to wield this kind of strength. The mage simply raises his staff, lightning curling around him in spirals of violet energy. He asks whoever said a support class cannot deal devastating damage. Energy detonates outward, purple currents carving through the cavern. He announces his final gift, chaotic domain. A thunderous explosion tears through the chamber as walls crack and the remaining mercenaries vanish in the storm of destruction. The dungeon collapses behind him, and the leader's final terrified question, asking who he truly is, echoes unanswered as the mage walks out of the ruin. Outside, sunlight greets him just as the ground behind him bursts open. The entire dungeon begins collapsing as stone and earth fall away in violent cascades. He watches in disbelief, muttering that he cast only one forbidden curse and wonders why the structure is crumbling so easily. Far away, alarms blare inside the Lunar Magic Detection Division. Screens flash with dangerous readings as officers scramble. The commander demands answers, and his team reports chaotic fluctuations erupting from the underground dungeon. Someone shouts in frustration that the same troublemaker who caused a tsunami earlier is now collapsing a dungeon. Panic fills the room as they question his motives. Orders fly. They are told to contact the mayor immediately. The mayor authorizes full rescue deployment and warns that the dungeon may completely collapse. The commander reports that this disaster coincides with many students undergoing their awakenings, making the crisis far worse. The mayor states he will request a supreme sovereign's support while instructing the division to save as many civilians as possible. Rescue squads rush across the city. Sirens echo through the streets as buildings shake, windows shatter and debris crashes down. Civilians flee in terror, shouting for help as dust billows through the air. The mage halts, watching the destruction he unintentionally triggered. He whispers that people may die because of him and that he couldn't bear such guilt. He raises his staff. Wings of radiant white unfold behind him, flooding the crumbling district with divine light. Guardian angel. Healing spreads through the chaos, restoring breath to the injured, repairing wounds, and shielding people from falling debris. Survivors stare in disbelief, asking how they are still alive. Rescue workers freeze as they witness the impossible. One officer whispers that he might have just seen an angel. The commander, unaware of the truth, curses the mysterious powerhouse, vowing punishment if he ever learns his identity. Meanwhile, the mage slips away unnoticed, humming that no one must see him today, not with rumors already spreading like wildfire. He arrives at the Change Profession Center and approaches the girl he had been searching for. She panics immediately, assuming he has improper intentions. He reassures her he only came to change his profession. She accuses him of not being interested in her looks, then suddenly realizes he completed the Abyss Apostle mission. Shock spreads through the crowd as people whisper that he must be a genius from a powerful clan. He waves off the praise, claiming he simply benefited from experts fighting nearby, silently relieved they believe the excuse. Inside, he begins his profession advancement. A brilliant blue panel appears, granting him Blessing of Light, a powerful defensive ability. He smiles, pleased with its usefulness for future dungeons. Before he can test it, students run past shouting that Minister Sun believes a supreme sovereign has appeared. Confusion washes over him as he realizes the panic is once again centered around his actions. Suddenly, a broadcast rings through the city, announcing that the underground dungeon is closed for maintenance and that no one is allowed to leave. The mage stiffens, eyes widening at the restriction. If he cannot leave, he cannot gather materials needed for his next advancement. He sighs with exasperation, wondering why everything becomes more complicated the moment he tries to progress. The scene opens with Lin returning confidently to the trading market, moving with the certainty of someone who already knows exactly what he wants. His steady steps and calm expression stand in stark contrast to the bustling noise of the hall. The staff recognize him instantly, exchanging startled glances as he enters. His visits have become more frequent, and each time he returns stronger, wealthier, and more mysterious. Manager Lu greets him with practiced respect, almost as if welcoming a distinguished noble rather than an 18-year-old healer. He guides Lin to a comfortable seat, where warm tea is served in delicate porcelain cups. The refined atmosphere feels more like a private council chamber than a marketplace. Lin flips through the product catalog with casual ease, barely glancing at the descriptions before announcing his order. He wants 20 copies of various magic scrolls, attack spells, support enchantments, auxiliary tools, every one of them expensive enough to bankrupt new adventurers. His tone remains relaxed, but the employees around him freeze, stunned by the sheer extravagance of the request. Before they can recover, Lin leans forward slightly and asks for something far rarer, a source of calamity. A trace of hesitation flickers across Manager Lu's face. Such an item is nearly mythic, volatile, dangerous, and exceedingly difficult to track. Even the trading market struggles to obtain one. Though unable to provide it now, Lu promises to contact Lin immediately if information surfaces. Wanting to soften the disappointment, the manager retrieves something wrapped in a cloth. When he unfolds it, a faint silver glow spills across the room. It is a silver dungeon teleportation array, a treasure beyond the reach of most adventurers. Entry into silver-tier dungeons is never sold to the public. Such opportunities are granted only to individuals the trading market truly recognizes. Lin's eyes widen just slightly, the only sign of how valuable this is to him. With this, his next advancement becomes almost guaranteed. He thanks Manager Lu with genuine gratitude before taking his leave. Outside, Lin considers the array's two-person limit. He wonders who would best accompany him on a mission of this scale. Before he can choose, his phone vibrates. His friend answers with dramatic flair, complaining loudly about being hungry, about having no games to play, about life being unfair. Lin listens silently until an opportunity presents itself. When he casually offers a place in the Silver Dungeon expedition, the complaining stops instantly. His friend's excitement explodes through the phone, tripping over his words as he accepts on the spot. They set the meeting time for 7 in the morning, and Lin warns him plainly, if he is late he will be left behind. Morning arrives crisp and cool. Adventurers gather at the glowing cave entrance of the Silver Dungeon, the air thick with anticipation. Lin's friend is already there, practically vibrating with excitement as he waits. But their preparations are interrupted by a group of adventurers approaching with mocking grins. They point at Lin, snickering that a mere healer dares to enter a dungeon of this rank. One insults his class, another laughs at his age, and their confidence grows as they expect Lin to get flustered. His friend clenches his fists, ready to fight, but Lin stops him effortlessly with a calm glance. He dismisses the group with a single remark, saying their opinions are beneath notice and their noise insignificant. The insults intensify, fueled by bruised pride. Their shouts echo across the cavern entrance, but Lin stays composed, unfazed by the bluster. He finally replies with a cold, deliberate tone that cuts through their bravado. He tells them they aren't provoking him of their own free will, someone else is pushing them from behind. Confusion spreads among the group as they look at one another, unsure whether to deny it or run. Before they can react, footsteps echo from deeper within the cave. A tall figure emerges from the shadows, wearing a long black coat that shifts with every step. His violet hair falls across his shoulders, and his expression is unreadable. His presence alone extinguishes the arrogance of the troublemakers. They straighten immediately, falling silent, as if the true leader has finally arrived. This is the person orchestrating the hostility from the shadows, the real source of the tension that has been building since the morning. Lin's eyes narrow slightly as he steps forward to confront him. He asks why the man took so long to come out, his voice calm but edged with certainty. The figure does not speak, but his appearance is enough. Lin feels it instantly, the provocation wasn't random. Someone engineered all of this. There is a mastermind behind the scenes, someone testing him, someone studying him, someone waiting. The mysterious man stands between Lin and the glowing entrance of the silver dungeon as the air grows heavy with unspoken challenge. The chapter closes with the two facing one another, both aware that the peaceful morning is over and a storm is about to begin. The chapter begins with Lin Han and his friend arriving in the forest clearing where shimmering teleportation light slowly dissolves into the air. The atmosphere is thick with anticipation, the kind that settles before a major confrontation. The surrounding students murmur among themselves, scattered around the ancient stone pillars that mark the entrance to the trial grounds. The moment Lin emerges, a smug voice cuts through the tension. A tall figure with violet hair steps forward, an arrogant smile bending at the corners of his lips. He mocks Lin openly, questioning whether a healer like him has the qualifications to be here. His followers laugh behind him as if the outcome has already been decided. Lin, however, remains composed. His expression doesn't waver. He simply glances at his friend, who returns a nervous grin while whispering that Lin shouldn't bother taking insults from people who think too highly of themselves. The purple-haired man orders one of his subordinates to test Lin's strength. A massive brute charges forward, veins bulging, fists clenched with the confidence of someone who believes he has already won. The spectators hold their breath, expecting Lin to retreat. Instead, Lin steps forward calmly. The brute swings with full force, but Lin catches the blow with a single hand, barely blinking as the forest shakes from the impact. The brute is stunned, unable to process how someone who supposedly specializes in support could stop him so easily. Before he can react, Lin pushes him back with a strike so swift and clean that the man flies through the air, crashing into the ground with a thunderous thud. Gasps erupt from every direction. Lin's friend claps proudly, shouting that Lin is too strong to waste time on amateurs. Enraged and humiliated, another fighter leaps out, attempting to avenge his comrade. Lin moves faster this time, stepping aside with effortless grace. The attacker's punch slices through empty air before Lin flicks his wrist lightly, sending him tumbling across the field. The purple-haired leader grits his teeth, realizing that the situation has turned against him. Lin simply tilts his head and asks how many more they plan to send. His casual confidence infuriates them, but his friend laughs, remarking that Lin doesn't even look warmed up yet. With frustration boiling, the leader tries to regain control and threatens to report Lin for injuring classmates. Lin laughs softly, pointing out the obvious hypocrisy. The leader's face twists as he tries to justify himself, but before he can continue, vines from the forest suddenly wrap around his legs. He screams as he's hoisted upside down, completely immobilized. Lin's friend comments loudly that the forest trial clearly dislikes cowards. Students watching burst into laughter as the man flails helplessly. Lin walks past him with a sigh, reminding him to reflect on his behavior next time. Soon the scenery shifts as Lin and his friend enter the deeper region of the forest. The sky glows orange, casting long shadows over the shifting terrain. They reach a wide battlefield filled with skeletal warriors rising from the earth, their empty sockets glowing faintly. Lin's friend freezes, overwhelmed by their numbers, but Lin steps forward fearlessly. He lifts his hand and golden energy ripples out in a sweeping arc, shattering dozens of skeletons instantly. Bones scatter like dust in the wind. His friend stares in awe before grinning excitedly, claiming it's his turn to shine. He activates his skill, golden cards materializing around him before raining down like comets. Explosions of light detonate across the field as more skeletons crumble under the assault. The deeper they proceed, the more dangerous the enemies become. Larger skeletal beasts with reinforced armor emerge from underground, roaring with hollow fury. Lin evaluates them calmly, instructing his friend to focus on the ones with weaker cores while he handles the stronger ones. His friend gulps nervously but obeys, rushing forward with renewed determination. Lin dashes ahead, slipping between the looming monsters like flowing light. His movements are precise, every strike calculated. His blade traces a glowing arc that severs a massive skeleton's spine in an instant. His friend cheers loudly, only to yelp when another monster charges at him. Lin sighs and pulls him aside just in time, joking that his friend attracts danger like a magnet. Embarrassed, the friend vows to be more careful. After defeating the initial waves, they arrive at a colossal door carved with ancient runes. The moment they push through, they find themselves in a dim chamber where minotaur-like beasts roar from the shadows. The ground rumbles as one charges at them, its horns glowing crimson. Lin orders his friend to attack, but fear freezes him for a moment. The beast lunges again, cracking the floor beneath its hooves. Lin's friend swallows his fear, braces himself and activates his skill. A massive explosion of golden energy blasts outward, staggering the creature. Lin takes advantage of the opening, leaping forward and delivering a devastating strike that sends the beast crashing into the wall. The chamber collapses under the force of their battle, dust swirling around them. When the dust clears, the final beast collapses at their feet. The forest trial announces their victory, and golden light floods the sky. A message appears before them declaring that a superior rank boss has been defeated. Lin's friend jumps with excitement, claiming this proves how amazing they are together. Lin simply smiles, amused by his friend's enthusiasm. But the triumph doesn't last long. The purple-haired antagonist, who had been dragged deeper into the trial by the forest, appears again, still tied up, shaken, and speechless. Seeing Lin victorious only makes him tremble more. Lin's friend bursts into laughter, pointing out how the self-proclaimed elite is now nothing more than a frightened spectator. The man demands to be released, insisting he has a right to continue the trial. Lin shrugs. The vines loosen and drop him onto the ground face first. Students around the clearing laugh as the man tries to recover whatever dignity he has left. Lin and his friend walk away from him, focusing on the results displayed before them. At the end of the chapter, Lin glances at the floating system panel revealing their rewards. His friend beams with pride, declaring the day a total victory. Lin, however, stares thoughtfully at the path ahead. The trial has only just begun, and though they won today, he senses a far greater challenge approaching. The forest wind shifts ominously as the purple-haired man glares at them from behind, fear mixing with resentment, hinting that this encounter is far from over. The chapter opens with dazzling brilliance as Lin Han appears beneath the rising glow of the Academy's grand arena, striding forward with the effortless confidence of someone who knows exactly who he is and what he's capable of. The entire campus vibrates with excitement. Banners flutter, students fill every walkway, and the distant roar of the crowd echoes through the towering ceremonial hall. This is the long-awaited inter-school competition, the event that determines rank, prestige, and the future of countless young awakeners. While nervous students rush about preparing themselves, Lin Han walks calmly beside his friend, completely unfazed by the pressure that suffocates everyone else. His friend, however, glances nervously at the waves of people gathering, whispering that this year feels more intense than ever. Everywhere around them, students murmur about the participants, the stakes, the rival academies, and above all, the terrifying rumors surrounding Gao Chong. Just as the two approach the arena entrance, a sharp, mocking voice slices through the excitement. Gao Chong steps into view, wearing a confident smirk that curves with arrogance. His purple coat sways as he walks, each step dripping with the self-assurance of someone who believes he already owns the stage. The crowd's whispers shift instantly, admiration from some, fear from others. Gao Chong, the so-called prodigy, approaches Lin Han with cold amusement. He clearly intends to provoke, leaning in as he taunts Lin Han for daring to participate, insisting that today is the day he will crush him in front of everyone. Lin Han's friend tenses, whispering urgently that being targeted by Gao Chong is the worst possible omen, but Lin Han remains entirely still, his expression unreadable, almost bored. Gao Chong's smirk widens as he brags about his progress, declaring proudly that he has reached the second awakening stage. Gasps ripple through the surrounding students. A leap like that is massive, uncommon, dangerous, and awe-inspiring. Many whisper that no healer could possibly stand against such power. Yet Lin Han remains perfectly calm, giving Gao Chong only a faint, dismissive glance. The tension between them grows thicker until a thunderous bell rings across the campus, signaling the official start of the competition. Students flood inside, rushing to take their seats while teachers position themselves around the arena's perimeter. Then the announcement drops like a hammer. First match, Gao Chong versus Lin Han. The arena erupts instantly. Cheers, disbelief, laughter, and worry mix into a chaotic storm of noise. Even the teachers exchange startled glances, wondering how such a matchup was approved. A second stage battle awakener against a healer sounds like a massacre waiting to happen. But Gao Chong is thrilled. He enters the arena with dramatic flair, waving at the crowd like a celebrity, basking in the attention. Lin Han walks in quietly, his steps controlled, his eyes set forward, showing neither fear nor hesitation. The signal flashes. The battle begins. Gao Chong disappears from sight in an instant, his speed so overwhelming that the crowd can barely track his motion. Teachers widen their eyes at the sheer explosive force he unleashes. In a blink, he descends from above, twisting midair and striking at Lin Han with lethal precision. Students scream as the impact breaks the air. Yet Lin Han simply tilts his head aside, letting the attack pass harmlessly. Shock freezes the audience. Gao Chong grits his teeth and attacks again, this time faster, sharper, filled with frustrated intensity. But Lin Han moves as though he sees the world in slow motion. Every strike misses by inches, his body swaying, stepping, sliding just enough to make Gao Chong's efforts look pitiful. Afterimages flicker across the arena from Gao Chong's attacks, but none touch their target. Whispers ripple through the stands. How is he dodging that? He hasn't used a single skill. Is he reading Gao Chong's movements? Lin Han's expression barely shifts as he murmurs that his eyes can see through illusions and that Gao Chong's techniques simply aren't worth mentioning. The crowd nearly collapses from shock. Gao Chong almost chokes on his own outrage. Enraged beyond logic, he roars that he will make Lin Han kneel, attacking wildly with a storm of blows meant to overwhelm any opponent. But Lin Han steps through them like a shadow, never once losing composure. The humiliation drives Gao Chong to desperation. He leaps high into the air, twisting his entire body as energy gathers violently around him. His aura spirals into a deadly vortex, tearing the ground below. Students and teachers alike rise from their seats in panic as he screams the name of his ultimate technique. Spiral strike. Lin Han, you're finished. The attack descends like a meteor aimed straight at Lin Han's skull. Several teachers prepare to intervene. Just before the lethal force connects, a figure flashes across the arena. The instructor slams her hand down, stopping the spiraling attack mid-motion, the shockwave vibrating through the stadium. Gao Chong stumbles as the energy dissipates, collapsing to his knees, pale and breathless. The instructor scolds him furiously, shouting that if she had not intervened, he would have died on the spot. The entire arena falls silent. Gao Chong shakes uncontrollably, refusing to meet Lin Han's eyes. Then the instructor raises her voice again, this time with authority sharp enough to silence every corner of the arena. The winner of this match, Lin Han. The stadium explodes. Cheers erupt from every side as students leap to their feet, shouting Lin Han's name. Some scream in disbelief, others gasp as they try to process what they just witnessed. A healer defeating a second-stage battle specialist without using a single offensive spell. Lin Han lowers his arm and simply walks off the stage, completely unfazed as though the outcome had been decided long before the match began. As the chapter closes, Gao Chong kneels in humiliation, trembling from the shock of defeat. The spotlight rests solely on Lin Han, a healer who defies all expectations, a mystery the Academy can no longer ignore, and a force far beyond anything his classmates imagined. The chapter opens with a burst of golden brilliance sweeping across the arena, lingering in the air like a reminder of the power Lin Han unleashed during the previous battle. Dust still swirls above the shattered tiles. Opposite him, his defeated opponent struggles pitifully to get up, pride forcing him to rise even as his knees shake. He grits his teeth and roars that he refuses to give up, slamming his fist into the ground hard enough to crack the stone. The audience gasps as fragments scatter, but Lin Han stands unbothered, watching him with the same calm expression one might give a child throwing a tantrum. He steps forward slowly, his shadow falling over the trembling student. His voice is steady, almost gentle as he tells the boy to stop pretending to be tough. The match is over. He should surrender with dignity. The truth in Lin Han's tone stings more deeply than any wound. The referee drags the defeated student away while he shouts dramatically that he will return stronger and defeat Lin Han someday. Lin Han doesn't even acknowledge the declaration. To him, it's nothing more than harmless background noise. He returns to his friend Wang Jiang, who immediately flicks him on the forehead, complaining with mock outrage that Lin Han embarrassed him earlier. Their playful bickering draws laughter from the nearby students, temporarily easing the tension of the arena. But the moment is cut short by the instructor's voice echoing sharply across the stadium, calling for Wang Jiang, Zhang Shiji, and Su Jiamei to report to the platform before they are marked absent. Wang Jiang stiffens instantly, his bravado evaporating. Lin Han pats his shoulder and shoves him gently toward the battlefield, telling him not to worry and to simply enjoy himself. This next event is very different, a chaotic free-for-all. Dozens of students spread across the arena floor as floating gold cards drift above them, each one pulsing faintly with magical energy. One mistake could decide everything. Wang Jiang jogs into the center with renewed enthusiasm and shouts that everyone should enjoy the battle. The crowd roars in response, thrilled by the spectacle. The chaos begins immediately. A burly student challenges a thin girl, expecting an easy win, only to be sent flying backwards by a shockwave of her strength. She demands that anyone else who doubted her ability step forward. A male student hesitates, then kneels hesitantly, pledging to join her. The audience erupts at her sheer dominance. Battles ignite all across the arena. Explosions flare, dust clouds rise, elemental abilities crackle through the air. Wang Jiang moves carefully along the edge, analyzing each fighter, looking for an opportunity. Suddenly, a student with razor-sharp gauntlet claws leaps toward him, taunting him for talking big. Wang Jiang prepares to respond, only for fatigue to crash into him out of nowhere. His limbs feel heavy, his eyesight dimming. Confused, he glances toward the sidelines and spots a pink-haired support girl looking mortified. She admits loudly that she is a support-type leader and accidentally weakened him instead of strengthening him. The clawed fighter charges with confidence, believing he has already secured victory. But just as he swings, Wang Jiang twists aside with pinpoint precision, dodging the attack in a way that should have been impossible under the debuff. Spectators gasp in disbelief. High in the stands, elderly examiners lean forward with sharp eyes, whispering among themselves. They instruct their assistants to record everything Wang Jiang does. A talent who can rotate multiple skill cards at once is too rare to ignore. The fight intensifies. Wang Jiang hurls several cards upward, forming a dazzling orbit of golden light around him. His voice rings with determination as he declares he will show something real. As his cards spin, another student calls upon the power of the god of illusion, summoning spirals of dark mist that twist the battlefield, distorting vision, sound, even the ground beneath their feet. Flames tear through the arena tiles, knocking out two fighters instantly. Wang Jiang braces himself as the clawed student reappears through the illusions, taunting him cruelly. He points out that Wang Jiang has taken damage, used precious skills and fought multiple opponents, implying that he must be exhausted. He leaps high into the air, claws glowing with lethal energy, and descends with a rage-filled strike. What happens next shocks everyone. Wang Jiang catches the blow. His arms shake, the ground cracks beneath his feet, but he holds firm. The attacker screams in disbelief, demanding to know how Wang Jiang still has that much strength left. Wang Jiang grins through the smoke, telling him he seems to be forgetting something important. The pink-haired support girl steps onto the battlefield with trembling determination. She calls out her skill, twin threads, and warm, luminous ribbons wrap around Wang Jiang's body, restoring his stamina in seconds. The arena erupts into chaos as students scream that he's back at full power. The clawed fighter stares in horror. Wang Jiang raises his hand, golden card spinning violently around him. His final technique, 5-card rotation, explodes outward with overwhelming force. When the dust settles, the clawed fighter lies unconscious on the ground. The referee declares Wang Jiang the winner, and the stadium roars with thunderous applause. Exhausted, bruised but thrilled, Wang Jiang collapses into Lin Han's arms. Lin Han scolds him gently for being so reckless, then proceeds to heal him with practiced ease. The pink-haired girl awkwardly joins them, cheeks red, as the three sit together catching their breath while the arena resets for the next stage. Lin Han stands eventually, pretending to leave, muttering that he must be the extra here. Wang Jiang grabs him instantly, insisting he stop talking nonsense and stay put, while the girl nods in embarrassed agreement. Eventually the call rings out for the next round. Lin Han walks to the center of the arena under the blazing lights. Across from him stand three formidable opponents, Zhong Ganxian, Du Li and Hu Xing, each radiating determination and resolve. They announce openly that Lin Han is too strong and that the only hope they have is to eliminate him first before fighting among themselves. Lin Han stretches his hands casually, cracking his knuckles with a smile bright enough to send chills across the stage. He welcomes the challenge without hesitation. The chapter closes with the three opponents bracing themselves, Lin Han smiling with absolute confidence, and the screen fading to black just as the most explosive battle yet is about to begin. If you loved our channel and enjoyed our content, please feel free to subscribe.